Well, good morning. Hi, Matt. Hi, Kristi. I'm so excited to introduce the two of you. Welcome to OnlyFounders. Matt, meet Kristi. Kristi, meet Matt.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Today, we have a guest, Kristi Mitchell, and I am excited to have her on the show today because I met her through the Galway networking group. And that is a networking group I'm so passionate about. I went to New York. That was part of the reason why I was in New York. If you remember a few episodes ago, I recorded from Times Square because I really think that the networking group itself is so profound to me in the fact that it has small business owners, medium business owners, and then it has, corporate employees and executives and leadership within other brands and other companies that are big, all commingled in the same networking system. So I'm going to pitch that again. It's Galway. And you actually have to be kind of invited in, and you have to interview with the founder to even be accepted. But I love it so much. I'm actually starting a Colorado chapter here soon next year with another Galway member. So I am bringing Galway to Colorado. Yeah, to connect the coast with Colorado. And then there's a Florida group and Texas, and we're kind of trying to spread it all out. So I think it's really going to be powerful. So that's where I met Kristi. And as we were talking, we had some really great conversation around our paths into business ownership. And she's also in marketing and has a strong marketing background. So of course, we connected on that too. And I was on her podcast, which was Unfudge Your Marketing. And then I said, I would just say unfuck it. But, she's got a better filter in the system than me. So then I said, you have to be on ours. We need to hear more of your founder story. And I know that Matt's going to have some good questions for you as well. So that's a little trickle into how I know Kristi. And I'm going to say, Kristi, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your story?
Sure. Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. So I'm coming up on almost 7 years running my business full time. Prior to that, I'd spent some time in higher ed and in corporate, doing marketing. Really kind of realized I'm not cut out for corporate, or corporate's not cut out for me. And so started out on my own venture, which that's a whole story in and of itself, how that all went down. But looking back on that and seeing the progress that I've made as a business owner coming up on 7 years is just, it feels like ages ago and yesterday all at the same time. But my business has evolved a lot in this almost 7 years I've been doing it. So I first started out as kind of like an agency of one, because I'm like, I can do all of the marketing things. So sure, I'll do your social and your emails and your blogs and your website and come up with a plan and execute it. I'll do all the things. I got a year of that under my belt, had a pretty successful first year for a new business owner. 1 year in, and then the pandemic hit. And so I lost pretty much all but one of my clients about 6 months after the pandemic really shut everything down. And it really just gave me an opportunity to look at the business I was building and really realize I didn't love it. I loved being my own boss. I loved running my own business and having a positive impact with my clients, feeling like I could make a really huge difference for them. But I really just didn't like the execution work. I didn't like being in the weeds of doing all the things. And I remember sitting there like holiday time, scheduling out like holiday posts on social media for 5 different clients at the same time. And I was like, I don't love this. I really don't. And what I love is really helping business owners feel better about their marketing, in terms of like, marketing is really overwhelming and confusing, and there's a lot of moving pieces. And what I really realized was, like, by showing business owners my approach, my process, my frameworks, I really helped to alleviate a lot of those headaches and that pressure and that frustration and overwhelm that they often felt about their marketing. So now I say, like, my mission is to make business owners love marketing, because I do think it's possible. And really kind of show them the way, act as that strategic consultant and that guide, taking them through the process, helping them get clear on what they need to do to have a strategic marketing plan focused on inbound marketing, bringing their ideal, clients into their world, nurturing them over time, turning them into happy clients. And that's really what my business looks like today.
How did you get your first customer when you started the venture?
I'm trying to remember who was very first. I think it honestly... This is really funny.
When you started, maybe what helps is when you started it, did you like have the customer right away? Like, how did that?
No, absolutely not.
How long did it take? And then who? Well, like what kind of customer? You don't have to remember, but like what were they like,
Yes.
you know, it sounded like that very first customer was a big deal. That's what I'm trying to understand.
It was a big deal. So I won't get into all the details of leaving corporate, but it wasn't pretty. And I really was like, oh my God, I need to find a new job. And my husband was the one who was like, you wanted to start. I had actually started a freelance business a couple of years prior. And then when I moved from higher ed to the corporate job, I decided to stop the freelance because I really needed to focus on the new job. And he was like, you did this before. You still have a website. Like, just do it again. So it was really him
for
and
the
his
husband support.
I know. He's amazing. So supportive. I say like he believes in me more than I believe in myself. So yeah, it was really with his encouragement that he was like, do that. Like, don't go find another corporate job. You hated it. And our son was young at the time. He was in preschool. He got sick all the time. And so it was just, you know, that constant feel of like, I'm not doing anything really well because I'm like trying to be in all the places.
Oh, sure.
So in terms of my first client, though, I think I know which one it was. And what's funny about it is that I would never get clients this way now because I just don't do this. It was cold outreach. So I reached out to, funny enough, the company who had replaced our roof because my husband was like, they keep sending us emails about getting a new roof and we already got a new roof. He's like, they need help. So I reached out to the business owner who, come to find out, was a fellow alum. Like we had went to the same school for undergrad. So we had like a little connection there. And
what school was that? You got to plug
Niagara
it.
University.
Cool.
Which is also where my husband and I met. So kind of funny, full circle.
That was just by chance, right? You didn't know that ahead of time.
No, I did not. I was just like, hey, I know your marketing sucks and you could use some help. So like work on it together.
And stop emailing us because we bought a roof. Okay.
Yes. Email us about your other services, but like we shouldn't need a new roof for a very long time.
Yeah. So how long, I love that question with that customer. You did cold outreach. You were a customer of theirs. How long did that acquisition process take from their cold outreach to you talking to them saying, oh yeah, we need you?
I think it was honestly only like a month. Like it didn't take that long. It was pretty quick. Yeah, and I was able to look at, you know, not just the email marketing was a very specific example that I could point to them and be like, hey, here's a chance that you could be doing this. Here's a way that you could be doing this much better. But then just looking at their website and their social media, like it was very easy for me to pick out like specific examples of how we could make all this a lot better.
When you first started, like for that roofing company, how fast were you able to make an impact? Like, sorry, you're in the door, you know, you have these ideas. Yeah. It's your first customer. So you really can't mess up. Yeah. Because you need them as you maybe at the time you weren't thinking about it, but you need them as a use case eventually. So, walk us through that journey and then tell us the result.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because the only real investment they were making in their marketing at the time was all outbound marketing, which my background is inbound marketing. So drawing people in.
Cold outreach over email, cold outreach over phone. I'm assuming those are probably the top two.
Yeah. Well, they would do like paid advertisements, right? And so they would pay to have their business name posted, you know, in bulletins and, you know, I don't think they did radio, but they had just done a variety of things. And they were paying this guy a decent amount of money every month to supposedly be doing SEO for them. And that was one of the first things that I dug into. And the business owner himself was like kind of a little skeptical of like what this guy was getting paid for and like what he was delivering. And I validated his concerns like 1,000%. I was like, look.
What was like one of the big concern, like a bit like what lingering concern that he had that you validated?
He wasn't really sure like what the money was going towards. Like how is this really helping us?
With SEO, surprise. Like I call SEO the magic box. I'm like, we need to break this down. Okay, carry on.
Yes. Well, and I think it's definitely one of those things that's more confusing than many other areas of marketing for business owners. And so they can very easily feel like, well, I'm not an expert, so I can't push back on this provider. Like, I'm just going to believe what they're telling me because I don't know any better. That's why I hired them to do it for me.
Side note, I personally think, Kristi, that SEO is the number one marketing service that has the most fraud in it with SEO providers from what I've seen in the industry, which is why I'm very careful with how I frame SEO strategy and suggestions to clients, because I do think it is vastly overrun with people who overcharge and underdeliver. And that's why SEO is a tricky, but I love that you used it as your in, and it's often a great in for very ethical marketers like ourselves, because we can use it as, I actually see you on that concern, business owner, and I validate it. And here's where all of the areas, this is funny. I'm not going to derail the whole point here, but I want to say I just landed another client with the same tool. They were paying someone for SEO. They had concerns. In our strategy session, I did the same thing. I saw them. I asked them to go vet and audit. I suggested if they wanted me to be on that phone call to ask them the right questions just to see what their dollars were going to. They felt comfortable doing it themselves, which is fine. And they said, this is all he's doing. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. And then now they're with us. So same. Please continue this story. This is a great first client story. But this is very common. Very common.
Well, Kristi, just to follow up. So all right, you identified there is some type of FUD going on, right? Whether it's fraud, an error, whatever it is. Now, as a business owner,
overcharging, under delivering. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like totally nefarious, but like, I don't think you should be paying as much as you are.
Not even in malicious. Like, to me, as a business owner, it's the same thing. It's like either you did it on purpose, or you're stupid and you're just stupid and you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
So as a business owner, right? Okay, you identified the SEO. There's an SEO issue. Now I'm thinking, okay, great, cut it out. Now what? Right? Because like we can't in my head, I'm like, well, do we just do it with another SEO provider and we're just going through the same cycle? Like, how does this work? So what was the process there?
Yeah, part of the interesting part of that story is that he didn't actually cut it. The business owner did not. He wasn't, even though it was like the weirdest thing. Like, I think
even after you showed him, you pulled the curtain back.
No, and he's I can relate. I can relate on that because I spend a ridiculous amount of money on marketing, and like only about 30% of those dollars actually work. And then if I don't know, if I take off one thing, it just somehow the old thing crashes. So I can relate where it's like, I need all these things on, even if this one makes $0, because if I take this off, all the other stuff collapsed. And I've proven that at least twice. So I can relate at least a little bit to that.
Yeah. I definitely see what you're saying. I think it was definitely a frustrating position for me to be in, because I was like, look, we could be spending that money like in a much better way and get you actual tangible results. I think that's the part that killed me, is like the guy running it, he was doing SEO and some paid ads, and it was just like, what results are you getting? Like, people aren't filling out forms. Like, there was no way to tie any results to anything,
and this was 2018, right? 2018?
2019 it would have.
Okay, 2019.
Yeah.
So really no one's filling out forms. I mean, TikTok is a year in virality at that point, I think.
Oh, that's crazy.
Weren't getting any
in 2019, we really weren't on TikTok. That doesn't seem like that long ago, but
it was amazing. Well, it was getting there. I mean, I wasn't there, but I saw it in the Gen Z's using and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're still not on TikTok. Change was very hard there.
Probably, you're probably right.
Probably. Okay, so Kristi, let me ask you this. I want to actually take us through the mindset you had when you joined the journey of entrepreneurship again, right? So the corporate ending was ugly. Okay, we talked about that first client acquisition, but let's talk about where your mind was. You had the support of your husband, which we love that, right? My husband is the same. He believes in me more than I believe in myself, which we always need. But then the question, so how long did it really take you when you said, okay, I'm going to start my own business again, right? And go through and do this? Like, what did that process look like? Was it hard? Was it long? Was it frustrating? Was it easy? What did that look like becoming a founder?
Yeah, I would say definitely frustrating was probably a very common emotion in those first few years, honestly, because you work your butt off. Like I remember the very early days, it was all like, I was like, I'm just going to network my butt off. Like I knew a ton of people from my past experience, especially in higher ed. I had worked with an executive MBA program. So I had this amazing network of people who had gone through that program over the 9 years that I had worked there. So I just networked. I networked with people I still knew at the institution. I networked with all these business owners. I just kept networking. And one thing led to another. And that's, I think, really what helped me have that first successful year is like, okay, I got clients. And it was like that openness of like, I'll kind of do whatever you need because I'm a little desperate and I really need to make this work. Otherwise, I do have to go find a full-time job somewhere. And so it was like, I specifically remember one of those networking coffee meetings that I met with somebody, and she was funny enough, she was running an SEO company, very legit. She's one of the good ones. But I remember just having this conversation that I really like things black and white. Like since I set out on this business, it's like, okay, I need to know what I'm offering. I need to know who I'm offering it to. I need to I need to know the process. I need to know my pricing. I need to know, like, I just felt like I needed answers. And she was like, you need to get comfortable in the gray. Like that's business ownership. And I was like, oh shit. Like, am I cut out? Like, can I actually do this? Can I live in the gray? I'm not sure. Turns out I can, because, coming up on 7 years and things are going great. And I love the work I'm doing. I do not work with roofing and service contractors any longer. I work with like professional based businesses, coaches, consultants. It's a much, much different way to do business now. But yeah, I think definitely lots of frustration and uncertainty and needing to get comfortable with the gray and with knowing that everything is just going to keep changing. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to evolve. Just when you hit your stride and you think you have it all figured out, a pandemic will hit, or, the economy will tank, or whatever ends up happening that just throws a wrench in, like, oh, well, that used to work, but now it's not working. So now what do I do? So I think that that's probably one of the biggest things is like learning to ride those waves and know that that's just the way that it is.
That's an interesting way you put it. Because if you're in the gray, you optimize for that. You're basically saying nothing can really move you because you're so adaptable. You're not rigid, so you just go with the flow. But on the flip side, in exchange of that benefit, I would say isn't hard to kind of predict the future a little bit, because when you're actually more, maybe not predicting the future, but like kind of have a vision of where things are going. Because if you're so focused in the present and your business is optimized for that, it's also hard to do strategic things that take you to the future. What's your thought on that?
Absolutely. And I really so when I worked in higher ed, I was working at a college of business, and my little backstory, my undergrad back to Niagara was in psychology. I never knew what I wanted to do, never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Psychology was interesting to me, so I picked it. I always knew I would have to get a master's degree because you really can't do anything with an undergrad in psychology. And so when I found myself working in higher ed at a college of business, I was like, well, you can't really go wrong with an MBA, and it's free, and I don't really get paid that much to work here. So like, I might as well take advantage of that benefit. And I really credit my MBA experience, which shout out Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT here in Rochester, Saunders College of Business. I had such an incredible experience going through that MBA program. And the class that stood out to me the most was managing organizational change. And I feel like I carry so much of just the mentality that was instilled in me at that time in my business now. It's exactly what you said, Matt. It's knowing that you always have to be agile and flexible and ready to change, which I will be honest, those are not strong suits for me. But as a business owner, that's just the name of the game. Otherwise, you're going to go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What would you say is your unfair advantage? Now running your business for about 7 years, you should know what you're really good at and what you're really weak at. So what's the thing that you would generally win out over anyone else?
Ooh, that's a solid question. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is I have done so much inner work. Like, I am so self-aware. I am so in tune with how things feel to me and what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no. I'm so incredibly mindful, and I'm always looking for ways to keep learning and growing and evolving as a human, as a parent, as a spouse, as a business owner. And so I've never been asked that question before, but I think that would be my answer.
I love your answer. I love your answer, because I was actually asking myself that question, Matt, and I was like, oh shit, I actually don't know what I would say to that question. What's Kristi going to say? And then I'm thinking through that, and I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't asked that. But then I was thinking, and I resonate so deeply with, I resonate so deeply with what you shared, Kristi, because I too am a parent. Right. I've been in business ownership, and I've done so much fucking work on myself and that healing. And we've talked a little bit about that inner work as a human, as a parent, as a business owner, as a spouse, as a friend. And I think being human, it's one of the things I think I gravitated most toward you early on, was the authenticity in the way you show up at work and at home. And it's the same person. It's what I love to talk about, is like the work life is not two words, it's one. Work-life balance, who you are at work is at home, and vice versa. It's the same person. But you have to be human in those experiences. And I also think the more you do that inner work, the more you work on yourself, the better you will be in business, because businesses are just humans behind a name, right? Like, we don't hire businesses, we hire the people behind the business. And so if the people behind the business are doing that work, like you said, you say yes to what you want, you say no. I think that's a great differentiator, because if I go into business with you, I know that you want to take that work, not because you have to, not because you need the money, not because it's, oh shit, I'm just going to do it. Like, you actually want to show up in that work. So a human that's done that work, and you validate that, and you show me how confident you are and rooted you are in yourself as Kristi, I know that you want to be there. And that, for me, as a client experience, is pretty cool, right? Because a lot of client experiences, you feel like they're just kind of phoning it in because it's just work.
Yes.
It's the job, right? And that's not a profound experience. But I think that when you are a business owner and you yourself are delivering your business and your service, you want to let people know that you want to show up there. And if you don't, you have the boundaries to say no, right? And I was like very much resonating with boundaries. Like, what's the differentiator? Boundaries. Like, I've done all the inner work, I have boundaries. People often say this to me, right? Oh, I'm so sorry for bothering you. Or I was just on vacation, right? I just took off for a few days by myself. It was profound, right? And people were like, oh, I don't want to bother you. And I'm like, dude, if I'm responding back to you, it means you're not bothering me, because I have my own phone boundaries where if I'm out, I'm out. Like, you won't hear from me. So like, I got myself. Like, we always think we have to hold everybody else's boundaries. Like, that's not someone else's responsibility, especially in work. So I love that you've done the inner work. You've done all that to say, look, if I'm here, I'm showing up because it's a yes for me. If I'm not, if it's a no, I have my own boundaries. I won't show up. You just won't see me or hear from me. So don't even worry about it. You do you, and let me respond, right? It's like that control thing. And I think holding that in a client experience with you is really important at work, because clients don't want to feel like they're bothering you. They also don't want to feel like they're unloading or too much. They don't want you to be a hassle for you. And we're sitting here going, I've taken you on. Like, this is a yes for me. I'm excited. Give me all you've got. And I've done the inner work to know I've got the boundaries to say enough, or that's too much, or we'll cut it off, right? And I think that that's a gift. That's a gift, especially when you're in a meeting with someone and they hold time boundaries and you can just relax. Like, do you ever feel yourself anxious when you have to have a call with someone and they're shitty at time management, and you're like stressing the whole conversation about,
I keep looking at the clock.
Oh, we have 5 minutes left because I know they're going to go over. And that's like a form of not doing the work, because you can't hold yourself. That used to be me. I before I even did any of the healing, circa 5+ years ago, Anne would literally love to talk and tell stories and not pay attention to the time. And I didn't realize that transfer I had with people in work and in personal, that people were telling me, I only have 20 minutes or I have this. And then I would like get offended of like, well, why are you telling? And it's like, when people don't hold boundaries, it's not a safe space. And if you protect your schedule at work and you have to move on, you should be celebrating when people say, like, I love when Matt, when we record, he says, okay, I have a hard stop at X, or I have a hard 30. I'm like, oh, I feel safe. I feel so safe with Matt.
Yes.
Some days we don't. Some days I'm free. So you never know. It's like, well, we could talk for 3 hours if we want.
We could.
We could. Kristi, would you say you're an introvert?
I don't know what I am, to be honest.
You have to all right, pick one. Are you say because this is
Come on,
I know you're
Matt,
in the
he's
gray.
living in the gray.
Okay.
Let him live in the gray. Live in the gray.
It's fine. I'll give you a black and white answer. I'm more of an extrovert than an introvert. Yeah.
Really? Because so the reason why I ask, because if your unfair advantage is you're a good because to me how you phrase your answer, I can distill in one word. You're a listener. Really, you cannot learn, you cannot adapt unless you listen very well. And
I love the way that you guys reflected that back to me, because those weren't the words that I would use, but I'm like, oh, I love that. That sounds really good and so spot on.
So if you're a good listener, this is where the conflict is. How are you an extrovert but a good listener? My wife is an extrovert. She will talk.
Okay, maybe I'm an introvert then.
I'm just curious. Well, so I'm both. So this is where I understand the gray area, because I am an introvert naturally. But in my business, I have to be an extrovert too. And because of that, I also have to be an optimist, right? Introverts tend to be much more safer, or also are risk adverse. So they gravitate towards pessimism a little bit more. So as a business owner, you can't be a pessimist. You can't be like, the business is going down. You can't be like that. So you have to be the reverse. You have to be an extrovert. So for me, it takes a lot of energy to be an extrovert. So I understand your answer. You have to be both.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how, if you think you're an extrovert, where does your energy come from? So when you talk, you gain energy? Yeah. Or when you listen, you gain energy? If you do both, you're a unicorn, but I'm just curious.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a unicorn, but I do think both. Like,
this is where you say, you know what? I'm a unicorn. I'm a unicorn. No.
All right, I'm a unicorn. I'm owning it. So this is what's interesting. I love this question because not always. I would say, like, for my career that I had prior to becoming a business owner, I would have said I'm extroverted. I go out, I talk to people. That was actually a big part of my job in higher ed, was networking with all these executive MBA students who are going through the program, making sure they're having a good experience, solving any problems they have. Oh, they need a book, or they need this or whatever. Like, I had to talk to them. And I didn't really think about this until just like a couple years ago. I think my husband and I were having this conversation. When I was little, I was shy. And I had severe social anxiety, which, like, as a parent, that's one of those things you get to relive. You know, as you see your kid go through the same shit that you did, you're like, oh, man, like, that was rough. Open those wounds back up. But as a child growing up, I think I was more introverted, at least from the standpoint of having, you know, social anxiety and not ever feeling like I fit in, and always being, like, hyper conscious of everything that I did and who's watching and what are they thinking about me and all of those things. But then when I had that experience working in higher ed of, like, okay, you got to go out and talk to these people. And it was nerve-wracking at first, but I learned to do it. I stayed there for 8+ years. And then as a business owner, it's like, all right, you got to go out and meet with people. Like, you got to network. That's a huge part of it. And so I get a lot of energy having conversations with people. I mean, that's part of the reason I have a podcast. I love having conversations with people. However, I get more energy, I think, from those types of situations. And something that I honestly learned as a result of the pandemic is that big events with lots of people and tons of talking and interaction is very draining to me. I will do it and I will enjoy it in the moment for the most part, depending on what group it is and who's there. But I need time to recover from that. And so that's what started getting me thinking, like, well, maybe I'm a little more introverted than I thought. I don't know.
So you're probably, so this is a typical behavior or a new skill you gain after about, this is from my experience and talking with others. I think it's like 5 years of sustained business, like not like on and off, but like, hey, you're constantly fighting for customers, because as you go through like the ups and downs of a business, it's the points of the low where like subconsciously, I believe, this is my opinion, I don't know if it's right or not, but subconsciously you have to fight. It's your fight or flight. So if you fight through the down periods, you're also fighting through like your natural tendencies of being an introvert. Like, I'm going to be an extrovert because if I don't, I'm dead. Right. If you do enough of those, you raise your level a little bit from like, if introvert was 90%, extrovert was 10%, it slowly goes up and then balances out. Yeah. So I kind of relate a lot with what you're saying. It's like, it is a gray area. It doesn't mean you're a full extrovert, because it means the energy is still more like being in a crowd, for example, takes energy. That's like clear, like, okay, definitely you're more on a little bit more on the introvert side, because you gain energy through a meaningful, deeper conversation versus a surface of many conversations, right?
Yes.
So totally relate, but I think you only gain that when you're in business for like 5 to 7, like at the mark you're at. It doesn't happen at 3 for sure.
I'm coming at it from the opposite spectrum. So I am very much extroverted. As a child, I would be told to go talk to anyone, because I would. My older sister was very shy, and she'd be like, Anne, go say this to them. And I'd be like, fine, whatever. And I just loved performing. I did theater, dance. I was that kid that was like, me. So annoying, right? So annoying. And I grew up just extremely extroverted. I was the social chair of our sorority. I went to CSU, a massive college where I did theater. I love performing, right? But I think it was coming from the other side of extrovertedness where I realized I actually didn't start really quieting and appreciating the introverted times until I did a lot of the work and did a lot of the healing and the inner work with myself to realize where that came from, which was people pleaser, conditional formatting in our home, performance culture for acceptance and love, all the things, right? And when I actually met Anne at her core at like age 35, I was like, holy shit, maybe my extrovertedness came from the desire to be more loved and please people and do all that with my talents, right? And so I would say in business ownership, I've gotten much more introverted. So we're all kind of these unicorns right now, right? The three of us, because I do feel like I'm very introverted and extroverted. But in becoming a mom, we have 3 kids. And so I am much more introverted. I love being by myself. I love quiet. I gain energy from both. It's funny, really, from both. I love, hosting a 10,000 person event and getting those conversations in a networking room of hundreds. And I can have those surface level that go a little bit deep, and then I move on to the next person. That fulfills me. I am like riding high after that. But then I also really love those moments of quiet and calm with myself, because I feel like I can sit with myself because I actually know who she is. And I also crave those moments too. And I get energy from that. But then it's funny, I think I'm still more extroverted, because if I'm alone for too long,
I was about to say the same thing.
I need people.
My question to you, Anne, was, could you live on an island and not talk to anyone for a year and be totally,
God, no.
and I could totally do that.
Matt, I would be so depressed.
I would be a better person, actually, coming out of it.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I need litmus test for introvert or extrovert. I'm definitely an extrovert.
Extrovert.
No, it's just a concept. I don't know.
My husband could. He's so introverted, but it's funny. He's been doing stand-up comedy for like 17 years as a side gig. And so everybody, he's a great performer as well. So we both resonated on being like, we're like a mullet. We're like business in the front and we're just party in the back, right? We both have the performance culture, the theater, the improv, the comedy, the dance, right? All of the fun things. But then we're really fun at parties because like we can perform really well. But then we're like very business structured and formal and buttoned up. And so it's interesting with him. I've often observed those traits because I'm like, everybody thinks he's an extrovert. He's like, he is the world's 100% biggest introvert I've ever seen, but he's a performing introvert. And so we see this as just what you said, Matt. I totally agree with that. You have to go through, and he doesn't even own his own business. He has a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors that are more creative, but he's been a corporate employee for his life. And you have to perform in business with people to a certain extent to train kind of that introvertedness out of you to succeed. In business, you have to talk to people. And this is why there's a whole course. I actually have a friend who's another public speaker and author, and he's a adjunct professor at Columbia. I think it's Columbia. And he literally teaches like social behaviors and empathy and connection and relationships to like the IT, the dev, the engineers, the department of usually traditionally introverted people that are like, I'm so awkward at work. What do I do? And like that skill set of warmth and connection and relating and empathy is so important in work, in any environment, whether you own your own business or you're corporate or you're owned. I call it being owned or being a free bird. And I think that is so important, right? For all of us. And it's even classes, like the universities who understand that, they get that. And they want that kind of softer, warmer support for their students who are in traditionally very cold. You know, we always joke, like my first job out of college was an executive assistant to a CIO in an IT department. Not anything of what I wanted, but I graduated into a recession. Lucky me. And so went with a staffing agency because work was shit. And I took anything I could. And I was literally in this tech department of like 80 people. And I'm this little 22-year-old freebird socialite marketing chick, right? And I'm like trying to talk to everybody. Man, I went into that work downtown, big office building. Every time I walked in, all the fucking lights were off. It was dark. And I was like, what are we doing? Like, is anyone here? And it was full. All the cubicles were full. And everybody had headphones on and hoods up and the lights were off and they were in their cocoons and I was like,
that was
good
me
morning.
In my 20s.
Yeah. And then like,
yeah.
I'd turn the lights on, I'd make coffee. I was like, what's going on?
No,
like,
but
making your rounds in the morning, everyone's like, don't talk to me.
You have to flip the script. So I was like that in my 20s, especially once I started consulting. You have to keep in mind, I had headphones on. I had the hoodie on too. And then every keyboard was like, if I hit one key, that's $1. That was printing money. So keep that in mind. That focus came from like, if like there's a gravy train in software.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
so
really
like,
funny.
I mean, yeah.
I was going to say, it's just so funny hearing Anne describe that because that was our IT department when I worked in corporate. Like, as you're saying, I'm like, oh yeah, like it was like very much an open floor plan, but like their section, the lights were off, and like, yes it's so funny.
No, I love that. that was my 20. We were every time I did consulting, and we would go from like company to company. So usually they give me my own room or I just work in a meeting room. Cause a lot of times back then remote wasn't a thing. You just had to show up in person, but I wasn't an employee. So I was going to meeting room, turn off the lights and be like, hey, is someone using this meeting room? Like I just had the lights off. I was just working away. And then people, other like IT, not like IT, like programmers would join me too. It's like, oh, this is cool. I didn't know you could do this. Like, yeah, just who cares? Like, don't tell your boss. They probably don't want you working here. Yeah.
Seriously. It was literally like me and the CIO in the corner, right? And we had our lights on, or I had like an office lamp and it was dark. That was it. And then maybe
those lights are so distracting.
On the other side, lights. They are. They're very obnoxious. Like even now in our office here, Shannon put up these cool like accent mood lights that if we turn the big lights off and we just turn those on, it's like a different work environment. But lighting, I mean, our nervous system, now that we're all healing, right? Like it's really important to realize the sound, the smell, the light and how bright it is. And like, it really affects your flow state. And Matt, we've talked about flow, like often when you're getting into that grind and with IT work, you very much have to find that flow state and just go and especially if you're writing code.
IT is easier. No, so this is actually a good tangent. Yeah, IT is like, all you have to do is just type really fast and then the brain's on. It's actually like, there's this game called Type Racer where you can race with typing.
I remember the Mario game. That's my typing.
So I just do a few of those. Once I hit about 130 words per minute, and then I'm good. I don't need to do like that's the flow state already enabled. Marketing, and this is more of a question. I'll kind of ask a follow-up question after this for Kristi. Is marketing is that flow state really hard to get into? There's already something called writer's block, right? It's just a block of anything. Creator's block, video editing block, like whatever the creative piece is. And I find getting that flow state incredibly hard because you can't just wake up and like, I'm going to do some marketing. I have found it to be the other way around, which is if I want to do new creatives, I just have to let it come to me. If I want to work on marketing and I have to be explicit about it, the only thing I can do is like do more of the data stuff. I can't just be like, wake up and be like, I'm going to just do some crazy idea I never thought of. It just doesn't come to me. So I want to ask this question for Kristi is how should business owners or founders like approach marketing when it's like, we need to do marketing, but you're just not in this like idea state and we don't even know how to get into it. Because I find that state very difficult to transition into.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's something you can like force yourself to do. I think that honestly, that's part of the work that I really enjoy that I do with my clients. Like I can think about one client I worked with earlier this year. So she's a salon owner and like big salon, lots of services. They're like a certified LGBTQIA space, like just really cool, really unique. Love the work that she's doing. And when she came to me, she's like, okay, I need a marketing plan. She's like, all right, so one of the like social media, I try and get my stylist to like create content and they're not doing it. And, you know, we had this conversation and she's like, oh, but I really don't want to. And so I'll spare you all the details, but like fast forward, I just saw her at a business retreat. We worked together the earlier part of this year, just saw her at a business retreat a few weeks ago. And she was like bragging to other business owners how great of a job she's doing on her social media that people ask her, who's doing that for you? And she does this little hair flip and she's like, it's me. And like that is so incredibly rewarding to me that like through the process I took her through, she now gets excited to create content and that in turn gets her employees excited to create content. And so it's like totally shifted the culture, the approach, the mindset of it.
Right.
And now she's getting so much success. Like her posts get tons of engagement and she's like increasing her followers and like just doing amazing things. So I can't say like one piece of advice to help somebody on that, but I would say like it's possible. If you're open to the idea.
Where does it start? Right. I think the transition is always different for it, but I think there's a common starting point, right?
I think it's mindset, honestly. I think it's your mindset about it. If you're going into it feeling like this is something I have to do, I have to check off the box, we have to get an email out this week, we have to post on social,
right.
I have to do this thing. I think that you're not going to be excited about it, you're not going to be creative, and your content's not going to land, and people aren't going to care what you're saying. I think that's what it boils down to.
And also, this is huge for me lately.
100% agree with that.
I get to share my company with the world. I'm so excited, right? As a business owner, I get to tell you about what I'm working on this week. Like I get to take you into a day in the life of me at work, right? I even filmed like a little behind the scenes of my podcast setup today and how like I literally said all the Jimmy rigging bullshit that I have set up here. That's literally like you don't need this huge podcast studio to do a podcast. Like you literally can have a little travel bag of your little widgets and gears, your mic, your lighting, you're good to go, and you can film anything anywhere. And I'm trying to show, I guess that's marketing on my social channels of like, this is how we're doing it. Like it doesn't have to be hard. And I wish more people would show the behind the scenes of like how they're doing something. This is how I created this video. I love Reese Witherspoon is doing this whole thing with Hello Sunshine now, her production company. And they'll do I forget the words they use, but they do like what you see, like the edited and then like behind the scenes and us filming it. And it's literally like a just a clip of the two stacked.
Yes.
And because I have an acting and directing degree as well. So I love like the production and seeing behind the scenes of everything. The creator in me loves that shit. And I'm like, oh, that's content I like because I get to see the finished product, but how you started with it, which is why I think behind the scenes of our workday, our client work, what we're doing, how we're coming up with this strategy, some really great hacks of how Kristi, maybe we approach a client and we're prepping strategy. I have a 90-minute client session after this with an international client and they're awesome. And I like was showing, how I'm going to set up my questioning for brand therapy and how I get into it, like what I start to think about. Like, I just think people want to know. That's the authenticity of business, but that is marketing. That's creative, right? Like it doesn't have to be marketing. It has to be like, what am I excited to tell someone about today that I'm working on? Just one thing. And figuring out a way to show that, even if it's a shitty way on your phone with the reverse camera on and you're like taking someone around, it's just showing up, right? And it's consistently showing up. And I love that mindset trick of, I just switched that too. I hated Matt knows I hate marketing. And I have a marketing degree and I hate marketing. And I feel like I've had to shift that a lot of, I don't have to go sell myself and that feels gross. It's, I get to share with you what my business is doing and what we're working on. And I don't care what you think about it or if you're going to be a client. I just want to share it with you because I'm really excited about what we're doing.
Right. And I think you said the word, like, I the whole time you're talking, I'm like, it's authenticity. Like, that's what it is. It's being truly authentically 100% yourself, whether you're the person creating content for the business or you are the business owner building your personal brand to help the company. Like, you have to be yourself. And I think I think there's still so many business owners who aren't comfortable with that, don't think that that's the right way to market. But I think that if the pandemic taught us anything in the world of marketing, it's that, like, hey, everyone's got a kid who's going to walk in the back in a Zoom call. Like, this is real. This is who we are. And the more that we can truly authentically show ourselves, and Anne, I know you're big on this, people do business with people, like, let's all just be people and not have to put on a show. Because when you're trying to be something and put on this face for your business, or, you know, create whatever content because you should, or you're trying to be like somebody else, like, it's not fun and it's not going to get you results. So just be yourself.
Last question from my side. When do you think marketing, because in order to be authentic, I think that comes from whoever is in the driver's seat of the business, which usually should be the founder. Would you agree that you can't really have great marketing unless that driver is really driving that message? Because a lot of folks just try to hire, like, I got VP of marketing or a bunch of marketing folks that will just do it for me. Because what happens if you just offload it, it's also not authentic.
Yes. I think it depends on the type of business. I work specifically in the service.
That's a good answer, actually.
So, like, services.
You work with what, Kristi?
I work specifically with service-based business owners. So I think, like, I could see, like, B2C consumer product businesses. Yes, go ahead, hire someone, do your marketing, right? Sell the thing. But in the service-based space, I do think that founders need to be involved in their marketing, at least to get it off the ground and going. I've worked with so many business owners who tried outsourcing it at first because they didn't have the right mindset. It felt too difficult. They just wanted it off their plate. And they end up coming to work with me because they're like, yeah, the agency we hired didn't get it right. Like, they don't understand us. It feels generic. It feels blah. It doesn't feel like us. And so I think that doing it yourself and truly understanding how you want it to look and sound and feel is just going to set you up for better success. So yes, I think you have to have a very active role in it for a while until you kind of get the groove and things are going, you know what's working, you have that voice, you have that cadence, you know, and then maybe start to hand some of it off. That's what I would say.
I love that. That is the root of what you just mentioned. Is you can take that and scale it to the moon. There's actually no limit around that, because as you're more authentic, virality opportunities come up automatically. You're no longer chasing it. They actually just come to you just naturally. And you don't even, for most people, they don't care. It's just another day of creating content. So I love that.
Adding to Kristi's answer real quick, I'm going to plug, that's exactly what our brand guidebooks are, what you just said. So you're finding your brand. Branding is what comes first before any marketing and any creative campaign. And that's what Fix Inform does. We deliver the branding through brand therapy. Once you figure out your voice, who you are, your story, your identity, your content, you put together a brand guidebook. I tell all of my clients, you share this brand Bible with everyone who's working on your company internally, who's working on marketing, who you hire, who's helping you grow. Anyone and everyone should be using that, which is your authenticity. And your brand is then going to carry all of the marketing forward. And you can hire anyone you want. Yeah. Awesome.
Speaking about plugs, Kristi, you have the mic.
That's where
what do you want to plug?
Kristi, where can everybody find you, and tell us all of your things, every asset? Just go.
Yes, for sure. So find me on LinkedIn. I live there. That is the platform I am on the most. So connect with me. Let me know you heard about me on this podcast. You can check out my podcast, Unfudge Your Marketing, which Anne was on. I don't remember what episode offhand. And my website, KristiMitchell.com. There's a resources tab. There's tons of free stuff in there because I practice what I preach. So there's a free resource library with lots of, like, tips and tricks about your marketing. There's a recorded
What's the most popular resource there?
Ooh,
I would say, that's hard. That's a hard question. It really depends on what the business owner is looking for. My favorite one is my quiz. I have a free quiz, and if you like Schitt's Creek, like it's really fun, but also helpful. So there's a quiz that helps you assess kind of how you're doing with.
No, I want to take it. No,
I do too. I'm gonna go take it.
I love free resources, so this is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all good. Yeah, it just depends on how you like to consume content and what resonates with you.
Cool.
So those are all the things.
Anything else?
The only thing I'll say is that I do offer a marketing strategy power hour session, which is a really quick, easy way to get very clear and focused on your marketing priorities. Because again, marketing feels confusing and overwhelming, and there's so many moving pieces. And so we sit down for 1 hour and really help you get clear and focused so you know exactly what you need to do, and you can tune out all the other noise, which it's an incredible value. It's a really great stepping stone if you want to consider working with me in a larger capacity after that.
Is that a link on your website that visit?
Yes. Yep. There's a services tab, and the power hour is the first one underneath there.
Okay. No, that sounds awesome. Cool. Thank you, Kristi. Cool. This has been an amazing podcast. We definitely got to do another one. An hour is not enough for us. So really, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Great talking with you guys. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Kristi.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.